So again, good morning and welcome to the Enriched Engagement Through Technology in Remote Learning webinar. My name is Sarah Martin. I will be one of your moderators this morning for our webinar. Shelley Harrelson is also with us and will be helping out as well. We wanted to thank all of you for taking the time to join this morning, and based on the registration, that it appears that this is a very big topic that people are interested in. So we're hoping to maybe do additional ones in the future. So if you are using technology in remote learning in an innovative way, we would love to hear from you, and there will be an opportunity to share at the end so that if you would be interested in participating in future webinars or for other topics as well.
As you're putting your names in, would you just drop your school district in?
So as we are going through, we have quite a few people on this morning. So we're going to ask that everybody turns off their camera and mutes their microphone. This will help with the bandwidth so that hopefully we will be able to share our screens as the participants are sharing, the panelists are sharing, to hopefully not have any interruptions that way. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, it's down the bottom. You should see a red X or a red line through your mute that shows you're muted, or a red line through your video to show that your video is off. If you click on the participants button and you go to your name, a little more button should show, and that's where you can go to rename yourself. So you can do that as well. I might be private messaging some people if I'm not sure what your name is, just to make sure that I have it for registration. Certificates will be issued and they will count for 2 hours of supplemental focused professional development. In order to get that 2 hours of supplemental professional development, you do need to be here for the entire 2 hours. And there will be an evaluation that you have to complete at the end. So you will get that via email from Holly Meyer. You are welcome to put questions in the chat as we go through. We will have a question and answer portion at the end of the webinar. So, but feel free as we go through, you can put them in the chat and I will hold on to them and direct them to our panelists at the end. You can either over here, you can address your comments or chats to everybody, or if you'd like to put it personally to either Shelley or I, you can do that and we will hold that for you for the end. I first also want to thank our amazing panelists who have volunteered to do this. We have 6 incredible teachers from across the state who are going to be sharing what they have been doing in their classrooms, in their remote classrooms. And we hope that if you are doing something, we will hear from you and we would love to feature you on future webinars as well. And the reason I need your name is just so I can match it with the registration at the end. All right, so we are going to get started. Up first, we have Renee. She is from Deming Public Schools, and she is going to be sharing with us about Nearpod. Let me see. Renee, I'm going to make you a There's Renee. I'm going to make you a co-host right now, and I'm going to stop sharing. And you will be able to share your screen now.
Renee, we're not hearing you. Okay, Renee's having a tiny bit of difficulty, so hold on just a second. She's going to come in a different way. How things always work. Whenever you're doing something technical, there's always some sort of technical difficulty, no matter how many times you plan it, right? Renee, let us know when you're in.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sometimes you just gotta sign out and sign back in. Okay, so I'm going over Nearpod. Nearpod was provided by our district. I'm not sure if it's provided by your district. If not, you're welcome to look into it. This has been a lifesaver for a lot of lessons because the students have the opportunity to actually draw on the activities. They can use videos to interact, or there's different activities you can add to your Nearpod lesson, and then it can be embedded into Canvas if you're using Canvas, or you can just share the link with them. So I'm going to go ahead and go through one of, well, first let me start with the library. So I'm currently in my library where you can see some of the lessons that I've created and that I've used with my students. And then there's also stories and lessons that other teachers have uploaded into Nearpod that you can go through and find and use in your classroom as well. These are all stories that I thought could be adapted to pre-K. You do have to kind of filter through a lot of this lessons to find stuff that will fit your age group. So I'm going to go ahead and start with sorting, and I'm just going to click on preview. So you get to build your lesson kind of like a PowerPoint. So I started off with a picture and I put the title of sorting. Next, I added an activity. First, I added the instructions, and then you can actually add your voice so you can, or your own audio, so you can explain the directions to your student. Once you have explained your directions to your student, then they can go ahead and this is a draw it slide where they can come down here and they can select their marker and their color that they want to use, and then they can answer the question. So I asked them if they would circle, you know, which animal came next in the pattern, and then they can actually just either touch their screen or hold their mouse down and they can draw a circle around that answer. Once they click the arrow, it will actually save what they drew. So whenever I see it as the teacher, I can see what they did on each slide. The next one, they had to draw lines to sort by color. I wish it was more interactive where you could actually drag them, but I felt like this was the easiest way for them. And then there is other ways to add more activities. I actually have one that has a video, and this is shapes. You can add videos from YouTube or stories, whatever will help you in your lesson. So for this one, they first hear a song from YouTube, and they actually answer questions during the song. So you can click on different points in the video and add a question. And at the end, I think I asked like, what was their favorite shape? This is actually a matching game. So they would click on the two shapes that match, and then it, blurs them out. And so you can add any pictures to this to adapt to your lesson. And then here they had to draw the shapes. So this was just a regular picture off of Google that I added to the background. And then I clicked to make it a draw it slide. And then they select the crayon, which again, whatever color, and then they would actually trace the shape. And then it was the end. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create one. And then I'll show you how to embed it into Canvas. So here is where it's just like PowerPoint, where you just click to add your slide. Now here it gets a little bit more complicated. I've only used slide and video, but then there's also, you can click and add activities. And this is where you can get your pairs, the matching. You can actually do a poll. You can draw it, so that makes your slide to where the students can draw on it or write. And then you also have the memory test. So again, these are all options to add to your lesson in that slide. You can add more slides as you go, but I'm going to go ahead and click on draw it, because this has been the most helpful in my lessons. Here you can actually record yourself and add your instructions, and then and also type them in. And then here you can either drop, like if you've already created a PowerPoint, you can just drop it into Nearpod, or if you've already created a PDF on Microsoft Office or Word, you can drop it here, and then you can make those slides into a draw it slide or into anything that will adapt to your lesson. So I'm actually just going to upload a background image, and I can just actually Google a slide. So I will say shapes, 2D shapes. And this is where you can pick any one that fits your style. I'll click the 3D shapes and save. And then I'm going to click save again. And now it is in a draw it slide. So when I save and exit, I can continue to add slides, however many activities you'd like. And then I can save and exit. I'm going to you can select a grade, but then that just makes it easier for other teachers to find. And then it'll be within my library. Okay, so you can actually do this live during your Zoom, or you can do it, give them just a link by clicking the student paste, or you can embed it into your Canvas. For our district, we're using Canvas. So I'm going to show you one that I already embedded, and then how to embed. So again, this is the shapes lesson. I had embedded it into our assignments. So students can just go through here. They don't ever have to leave Canvas. They don't have to go into Nearpod. It's all done right here on this website. So they can listen to the video. They don't have to go to YouTube. They can participate in the matching. And then they can draw. And then that's the end of it. And then once they have completed this lesson, they would click submit, and then it will show me in the grader what they actually did. It will show that the student has not done anything on this slide, but it does show that he did watch the video. He didn't answer the question, and then he didn't match the shapes. These activities are ones that my students like to do over and over again. So they might have done it once, but then they just go back to listen to the song or listen to the video. But if they did complete it, then it does show what they did, and it shows their drawing, what they drew, and then it shows how many matches that they had and how many were right and how many times it took them to get them correct. So it gives you a lot of information. Again, you don't have to go back to Nearpod. It's all right in Canvas, so they work well together. So if I wanted, I'm going to show you how to embed one of these into Canvas. I would click Add Assignment and then name the assignment. And when I scroll down on Submission Type, I actually would click External Tool. Wait. Okay. It would be here. And obviously it's not there. Okay. But there is an option to embed this in here, and it's not popping up right now. So yes, but if there's lots of tutorials on how to embed these into.
Renee, I think it's just there. You have to click and find, no?
Possibly. Yes.
Yes, and then it's
usually it just pops up for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
thank you. So you click Nearpod, and then you do have to link your library to it. Mine is already linked. And then you can click to do it during live participation, or you can do student paced. And so I always click student paced because I want them to do it on their own with the assignment. And then we go ahead and click select. And then if you save it, but today it should have come through. And then here it'll show the student's name, and then they'll just go ahead and click join lesson, or they just click on the arrow and it'll take them straight to what you want them to do. So with that, is there any questions? I know that was really fast.
The great thing about this is that we are recording it, so we will be able to post this so that people can go back and review it. And if you need to pause it and go step by step, you'll have that option in the future. Two quick questions that came up, Renee. Do you know if Nearpod works with Google Classroom or Seesaw?
I haven't tried it with Seesaw. I'm assuming Google Classroom, it should work with that. Just because I know I've taken Google Slides and dropped them in and it has converted them for me, just like a PowerPoint. So I'm sure there should be some compatibility there as well.
Great. And this is something that your district purchased, correct?
Yes.
All right, great.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes, thank you so much, Renee. And any other questions we will come back to at the end.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we have Lauren. She is joining us from Santa Fe Public Schools, and she is a 3Y special education teacher. So I am going to make Lauren a co-host now.
Hello, everyone. Is my screen coming through?
Yes.
Yay. It's always magical when technology works.
Yeah.
Right, hello, everyone. Like Sarah said, my name's Lauren. I'm a special education preschool teacher in Santa Fe Public Schools, and I'm going to talk a little bit about using a green screen in remote learning. Before I start, I wanted to acknowledge that probably many of us, our minds are a little bit preoccupied today. So I will be sending Sarah my slides so you can review them later. And my email is also at the end of this presentation, so you can always contact me if you need that as well. So let's jump in. So I use a green screen in a lot of my activities. As you can see, I have it behind me. And there are lots of good reasons to use a green screen in remote learning. So getting young students and even older students to engage with remote learning can be challenging. As, like I said, I'm a special education preschool teacher. Most of my children are 3 years old. And so getting them engaged in my activities is sometimes difficult because, you know, they're wiggly and it's hard to engage with the screen. And so using a green screen can help capture young students' attention and keep them a little bit more engaged in remote learning sessions. Green screen activities can also be used to mimic some of the hands-on activities that we do in the classroom. Often we'll have students, our kids in my district have iPads for the preschoolers. So we'll tell them, touch the screen to help to change the background, or, help me move this. And so it sort of mimics some of that movement and activity that we would have in the classroom. And then it's fun and it adds a little bit of magic to remote learning. I know as a teacher, I'm definitely missing some of that magic that we get in schools. And so it's nice to see kids get excited and see something that's, a little bit magical for them. So how can I use a green screen? There are a few different ways you can use a green screen. This is a picture of me going on a bear hunt with my students. So you can see in preschool, we look ridiculous most of the time. But you can interact with the green screen using props. You can use a pocket to make things appear and disappear out of the green screen. And then you can also project pictures onto the green screen and interact with those pictures. So I'm gonna show you that now. I'm gonna stop me share, and I know my picture is gonna be really tiny, so it's gonna be a little bit hard to see. But I'm gonna change my background to show you some of these things that we're doing. So I'm gonna start with one of the appearing and disappearing activities. So this is one that I use with my students. It's the old lady who swallowed the cow. And so for this activity, what I would do is I took pictures of each page of the book and I projected that on the green screen. And then in between each page, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story about the old lady who swallowed the cow, but she swallows a bunch of animals and at the end she throws them back up. It's kind of gross when you think about it, but the kids love it and it's great for sequencing. And so each time the old lady would swallow an animal, I changed to this picture of an old lady and show the kids an animal. What animal is this? Okay, let's help the old lady eat it. Say yum, yum, yum. And then we'd, put the animal in the old lady's mouth and we'd feed it to her. And so you can do that with all your different props. And these are just props that I drew, and you just disappear them into the screen. And it's that little bit of magic that kids love to see, you know, my hands actually disappearing into this background, and I can pull things back out. So that's one way you can interact with the green screen. You can appear and disappear things inside. Another way you can interact with the green screen is by using props and sticking them to the green screen. So I have a felt green screen, which means that I can stick felt pieces to the green screen. So these are just some felt pieces that I made, and you can stick them onto your green screen to change the background. So we use this one for Mr. Potato Head Emotions. And there's a song that goes with it that I won't torture you with right now. But we'd use it to, you know, practice emotions, and you can change the pictures and, you know, have the kids choose the different ones that they want. So they can interact a little bit more with, you know, do you want the happy eyes, the sad eyes, the scared eyes, the angry eyes? And these are all just pieces that I made that I can stick onto the green screen. And then the third way that I use the green screen is by projecting pictures and interacting with those pictures. So a few weeks ago, we did an apple exploration. So I had the picture of the apple on the green screen. And we had the kids, you know, talk about, what do you see? You know, have you ever seen this before? And then we do some movement activities. So what I'd have students do is I tell them, you know, we're going to chop the apple open because I want to see what's inside. So take your hands and warm them up, get them really warm, and then take your arm and chop. And we chop open the apple. So there's that interactive piece with it. And I'd say, you know, oh, this apple looks so delicious. Let's open our mouths wide and take a bite out of it. And so you have all these different, you know, cute activities you can do with the kids to get them a little more engaged. And my husband is a sixth grade teacher, and, you know, he's wanted to use the green screen for different activities for his students as well. They did a project with maps. And so, you know, to show the kids on the map. So, you know, it's sort of like that weatherman effect, where you can be touching and pointing to things while the kids are still seeing you. So it is appropriate, you know, I'm talking mostly about early childhood, but it can be used for older grades as well. Okay, so let me go back to my slides. Oh, and I wanted to show you, here's the pocket. So it's just a pocket Velcro to the green screen, and you can appear and disappear things in and out of the pocket. So the first time I saw green screen activity, I was like, wow, that's awesome. I have no idea how to do that. I don't have a ton of computer skills or technical knowledge. And so there are a few different ways that you can use the green screen. Is my PowerPoint showing again? Perfect. Okay, so what do I need to get started? You can use a felt green screen. That's what I have. You can use green butcher paper. I bought this felt, and then I realized about 10 minutes after I bought it, wow, there's free green butcher paper at my school. So you can use butcher paper and tape it to a wall. You could use a plastic tablecloth from the dollar store. There's lots of different ways that you can make an affordable green screen. So you'll need a green screen. You'll need a computer, and you'll need Zoom. So I do all of my virtual backgrounds through Zoom. Now, to use a virtual background in Zoom, if you haven't done it before, what you do is you open Zoom, you click on the arrow next to the camera, and you'll have a little menu of choices that comes up. You'll click choose virtual background, and then you'll get this white box with the different images. You'll choose add image, and then you'll upload an image from your computer. So if you're using Zoom, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Now, if your district is like mine and they don't allow you to use Zoom, there is a way to do this through Google Meet. It's a little bit more complicated, but it is possible. So to use a virtual background in Zoom through Google Meet, the first thing you'll do is you'll open Zoom and you'll turn off your camera. I don't know about your computers, but my computer cannot handle 2 cameras on at one time. It freaks out and does not go well. So you open Zoom, turn off your camera. Then you open Google Meet and you turn off your camera. Then in Google Meet, so right now we're all in Google Meet, What you'll do is you'll go to the Present Now tab and you'll choose a window. That will bring up the different windows you can share. And so you'll choose a Zoom meeting and then you'll click share. Now you're sharing your virtual background. So this is what I see on my computer when I'm with my students. I have my students over here in Google Meet on the right-hand side of the screen, and I have Zoom with my virtual background over here on the left-hand side of the screen. Now, if you're doing a Mr. Potato Head activity and you have your props that you're sticking to the screen, you're all done. That's all you need to do. If you're doing something like the apple activity or the old lady who swallowed a cow activity, where you want to toggle between pictures, there's a few more steps you have to take. So if you want to toggle between pictures, first you'll go to the Choose Virtual Background. And then you'll have this screen where you have all the different pictures that you can choose from. So you can toggle between the pictures here, but what you see on the screen now is exactly what your students will see. They'll see this white box with the different pictures. So what you do is you take this Mr. Potato Head, you just grab that tab and you move it down to the bottom of your screen. Now you can see all three screens. You see your Google Meet on the right-hand side of the screen. You see your different pictures you're toggling through on the left-hand side of the screen. And your Zoom meeting that your students are seeing is down here at the bottom. So you see all three things, but your students only see this Zoom meeting down here. And this box with the little Mr. Potato Head, you can see a small version of what your students are seeing in that box. So now you have a view of all the different screens. So that is the quick how to use a green screen. There are lots of good tutorials online. I started with this YouTube video that I linked on the screen as the first thing that I looked at when I was learning how to use a green screen. It's about 15 minutes and it's a speech pathologist who does teletherapy, and she uses a green screen for her teletherapy. And she goes through step by step exactly what you do. And she has some links to some good resources for green screens. And then there's also a green screen kit shop at it's called Play Spark Toys. It's the same speech pathologist. She makes kits. That's what I bought. It's a little pricey, so there are definitely other ways you can get a green screen much cheaper. Like I said, free butcher paper. Free is my favorite word as a teacher, so you can always use that. And then I found this Facebook group, Green Screen Speech Therapy, to be super helpful. It's a lot of speech pathologists who will post the different activities that they've made on the Facebook group. And so there's lots of stuff that you can go in and just download. It's pre-made, and you can just pop that into your Zoom and use it with your students. And then here's my email. Like I said, I just started using a green screen this year. I'm not like, I've never used it before. I'm not someone who's a whiz in technology. But if you have any questions that I can answer, you're always welcome to reach out to me through email. So that is it for me. Sarah, were there any questions in the chat that I should answer now?
I'm looking through, and I think there were some questions about how you were projecting it, which I know you went over, and I think sharing your slides, thank you so much for making those. That will be super helpful, I know, to send out along with the recording after, so people can go through. I think it's something that you need to play around with. You learn through trial and error through this. And somebody did post that you can buy fabric, and that the color they used was pirate green, and it's felt fabric on sale at Joann's right now. So another word teachers love is sale. So that's something that you can use as well. But thank you, Lauren. And if any other questions come up, we will answer them at the end.
Thank you, everyone.
Did you answer the question about the JPEG?
Oh, yes, somebody did ask about that. And yep, the answer is you need a JPEG for that.
And you can do that what I do is I make all my slides in Google Slides so I can share it with other people. I download it as a PowerPoint, and then you can save every slide as a JPEG and just pop those into your Zoom meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. And we will have a few other teachers who are going to be sharing about green screen and showing different things that they are doing to really spark your creativity and your different ideas you can use in your classroom. So up next, we have Sarah, who's also joining us from Santa Fe Public Schools, and she is an autism special education teacher, and she's going to talk about how she's using green screen with some songs. So let me make Sarah a co-host, and you should be able to share.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Sarah, and I'm a preschool special education teacher in Santa Fe. Lauren is actually the one who turned me on to green screens. And at first I was a little intimidated, but after playing around with it for a little while, it gets a little more comfortable. And also, like Sarah said, a lot of trial and error, but they're actually really fun. So I'm going to show you how you can use songs and then a couple of games in a green screen. So some other benefits to using a green screen is an increase in sustained attention. So many students who receive special education services really struggle to attend to a teacher. And then when we add in remote learning and learning on a screen, it can be that much more challenging. So green screens help with that. You can incorporate student interests a little easier. So if you have students who are really interested in a certain animal or activity, it's easier just to copy and paste, find a picture on Google Images. And also it's a great way to target IEP goals. So as early childhood educators, we use songs for almost everything. Typically we rely on manipulatives to interact with during songs. Songs target imitation, language, gross motor, fine motor movement, lots of different things. And many students in special education, especially those who require significant supports, really struggle with imitation. So using a green screen provides a great visual without having to use those manipulatives, since we can't interact face-to-face with our students. Okay, so the first song we'll go through is Wheels on the Bus. We'll go through a couple classics here. And I'm going to show you, let me see. Can you see the settings box as I bring it up, or just my PowerPoint?
We're only seeing your PowerPoint at this point.
Okay. Let me try one more thing. Thank you. Okay, well, anyway, so just like Lauren showed, when you want to toggle between slides, you'll go through and choose virtual background in order to change. And sometimes it takes a couple seconds to come up. And it's okay, there we go. And then you'll go through and find your slides. I try and have mine ready to go, especially because I'm using Google Meet and it takes a couple seconds to switch back and forth. Okay, Wheels on the Bus. So bear with me as I share my lovely singing voice with you. Okay, the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Wipers on the bus go swish, 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 swish. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 all through the town. And then you can repeat that for the horn, beep, beep, the doors, driver, baby, and then the shh, shh. And then as I'm in the settings, I'm just using my keys, the arrows, to go back and forth and to go through each one. All right, so that's Wheels on the Bus. Quick tip, Lauren shared this already, but most of the resources that she shared and that I'm going to share are free, and when you download them, they're downloaded as PowerPoint. So you can, in order to get your images, you save as JPEG or PNG and select all slides. Or you can just do one slide at a time if you want. Okay, next song is 5 Little Ducks. Oops. Okay, so I am going into my video settings, choosing virtual background. And my computer froze. Sorry about that. Thanks for waiting. Oh, there we go. Let's try again. And this is a very real possibility of what could happen when you start sharing these. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is 5 Little Ducks. And this is one of my favorite songs. So the Wheels on the Bus was a free activity I found, and this 5 Little Ducks was also free. So it's really great because a lot of these green screen activities are already made for you, and you don't have to do very much except download all the images, photos. Okay. So here we have the 5 little ducks. 5 little ducks went out one day over the hill and far away. Mama duck said, quack, 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 quack. Only 4 little ducks came back. And you can count them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can repeat that for the rest of the song. Okay, so I'm going to do one more song, and this is Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. And I like to give my students a little bit of a break from hearing my singing voice. So sometimes I will get a YouTube video ready to play, and which was there? I'll get a YouTube video with the song that I want to sing. And have it ready to play, but have this, that my kids see this as I'm singing along. Okay.
You can make Play-Doh candy with a colorful fun-filled center. It's the Play-Doh Candy Delight playset. Adult assembly required.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Let's try it a little faster. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees and toes.
And that one's really cool because it keeps speeding up, so you can click the pictures back and forth a little faster. Okay. So those are songs, and you can do any songs you want. Those are just some of my favorites. So the next thing I'm going to show are a couple of games, and these games can be anything related to books that you're reading. If you work with thematic units, things like that. Target IEP goals, essential indicators. They help encourage student participation and provide that hands-on element that Lauren was talking about. Okay, so this game is called Go Away Monster, and I used it last week in honor of Halloween, but if your families don't celebrate Halloween, this is a, just regular monster type of activity. So I'm going into my video settings, selecting choose virtual background, change my picture. Okay. So this one, little monsters pop up in different places. And so you can encourage participation by saying, where do you think the monster is going to pop up through? And then there's a chant that goes along with it too. It goes like this. Monster, 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 come on out and play, play, play. Monster, 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 nice ones are okay, okay. And we can switch. Oh, there's a monster right there. And then up here, I have some phrases that I want to target. We can say, I see a pink monster, or whatever color you want to do. And then to make the monster go away, we can also target some phrases. Go away, monster. Whoop, and have the monster leave. And then same thing, you can repeat that process with different colors. And they're gonna monsters are gonna pop up in different places. A couple of them, 2 monsters pop up, so that might be a little exciting for kids to see. 2 monsters came up. I wonder where they're gonna pop up next. I see 2 monsters. 1, 2. So you can incorporate a lot of different things. Okay, one more game. This is called Chompin' Chipmunk. And if you're doing, a fall theme at this time, this is a fun one to do. This is another free activity that I found. So it's fun, because you can make yourself pop up in different places and ask, where are we? Let's go on a picnic. And we can interact with it and say, let's open our picnic basket. I think there's a chipmunk nearby. Maybe if we put some food out, he'll come and visit us. Let's put our food, put our hand in the basket, and pull it out. Oh, look, there's our chipmunk. And then the chipmunk's going to come and we can feed it. There we go. He'll eat it. And as he eats it, he gets more things in his cheeks and it gets bigger and bigger. Oh no, it's not feeling so good. And all of the acorns come out. And then you can pretend that you're stuck in here, ask for help, and then you can pop up and you're back where you were. Okay. Oh, one quick tip, if you are green, you might disappear into your green screen, but it can be used to your advantage if you plan different activities to make your body disappear, make your whole head disappear. So it can be kind of fun. So I listed some of the same resources. So the couple of activities, the monster and the chipmunk activity, I found through GoGo Speech. And if you subscribe to their mailing list, you get free green screen activities in your email at least once a week. There are also you can also follow on Instagram and Facebook. And then Play Spark Toys, where Lauren recommended to find the green screen kits. They also have free backgrounds on Teachers Pay Teachers that you can use. And I'm using a construction paper butcher paper green screen. So it was free and it was nice, but sometimes it does fall off my wall. So you got to be careful with that. And I did make a little pocket just out of paper that I taped to my wall. So similar things, but can be affordable as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I had a question. So when you're toggling between the pictures, are you using like the arrow keys on your keyboard, or are you having to click through them?
Yes, I'm using the arrow keys to go left and then to go right. And depending on what you want to do, you can keep going back with the arrow keys or have enough pictures to keep going forward with the right, if that makes sense.
And some people have put in the chat some other places that they've found some of the backgrounds and the images. How long does it usually take you to get all of your images in there for a given lesson?
It depends on how many there are. So for, some activities have 30 to 40 images. So unfortunately, you can only add one image at a time. So it could take maybe, definitely less than 10 minutes, but depending on how your computer is acting that day, it could take a little longer. But once they're in there, you can reuse them again. So that's one benefit of it too.
And do you typically use this in your synchronous meetings, or are you recording this and uploading it to share through Seesaw?
I use it during my synchronous meetings, but then we record those meetings as well and then post them on Seesaw for families who weren't able to attend that day.
Awesome. And it sounds like there might be a way to use PowerPoint as backgrounds, but there's some computer requirements. So thank you, Sophia, for putting that link in the chat for us so that we can check that out as well. Great. And if there are more questions that come up, we will come back at the end. Great. Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, there were one other question. How do you add the add button to your visual backgrounds?
Yeah. Can you repeat that again?
How do you add the add button to your visual backgrounds?
I'm not sure what the add button is.
So it should be there. I'm looking at mine right now. And let me see if I share.
I looked at it. I found it.
Oh,
I had
great.
never seen it before, so that's really cool. That's really good. Thank you.
And then I have a question about, this is from another teacher. Do you use this specifically for face-to-face meetings, or is there a way to use for you to record yourself during these things to add more of them for it later?
Yeah, so I record when I'm in synchronous with Google Meet. I record the Google Meet meeting, or even with Zoom, you can record your meeting then and save it for later or share it later.
Wonderful. All right, thanks again, Sarah. And up next, we have Carrie, who's joining us from Las Lunas Public Schools, and she is also a special education teacher. So welcome, Carrie.
All righty. So I'm also doing green screen. And so I'm going to change my presentation just slightly and fill in some of the gaps or some of the questions that I've seen. But I am going to start with what I had. So, and I did get permission from my parents to share this video of the kids. But basically what happened is I teach the special ed pre-K, and I'm very lucky at the moment, I only have 4 students, but they are all basically nonverbal. They don't have functional verbal skills. And so when I was teaching them before I found green screen, they were all pretty much just staring at me like this. Or you can see the little girl up here in the corner. She actually will pop off in a minute. She would sit with her back to me, or they'd run off. Like they had no interest. And so I started thinking, like, what had my kids engaged in school? Like when they were coming in person, how did I teach them, right? Because they really didn't pay a lot of attention to my small group. And I realized it was centers. It was embedding our instruction in the centers. And so I needed to make my learning more like centers. So the first thing I did was, you can see in the background here, I have this shelf behind me. Because I realized my kids needed choice in what we were doing. Who wants to sit and be told all day long, this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it? They needed to have choice. So I found this shelf from someone else and I put it into PowerPoint. And then I took like little screenshot or icon images of all of my activities that I had been doing with them. And I put it on the shelf. So let me pull over my, oops, I got to grab it. So here's my settings from Zoom. And here is my shelf. And you can see it's got the choices on it. So I pull this up and I say, okay, what do you guys want to do? And these are always their favorite. And then what I do is, in between, I get to choose as well, right? They get their choices and then I get my choice. And my choice time is when I choose a new activity to introduce. And then as they decide whether or not they like this activity, then that determines whether or not it's going to go on the shelf. And this one, music, is always there. It leads us to another shelf link with the favorite song. So again, they get to choose. So let me show you a video of how this changed my students' interactions. And you can see my little boy in the corner, he's eating ice cream. Right? And normally we'd be like, oh, I don't think he's paying attention. But you're going to see he's still, even though he's eating his ice cream, he is still really engaged in this activity.
All right, Michael.
Can everyone hear?
Michael, it's your turn. What do you want to do today?
And Michael's the little guy eating ice cream.
Uh-oh, Alexa just left. Do we want blocks? Feed the monster, pop up, bubbles, song, or row your boat? What do you want, Michael? Whoa.
So I mean, you can see I have to have their parents help because my kids don't actually touch the screen. None of them want to touch the screen. And so the parents will tell me what they're pointing to. And I also have to use kind of like their verbal, like, did their eyes get big or did they shake their head for which one they want?
Michael, were you pointing to the blocks? Did you want the blocks? Or did you want the bubbles? Blocks? Yeah? Okay, let's do our blocks.
And then normally the kids don't see this screen that pops over for me to adjust it, but because I was recording so you guys could see the whole process, we see it, but the kids don't.
Our blocks ready. All right, you guys ready? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job counting, Giovanni. 6, 7. Nice looking, Michael. 8, 9, 10. Are you guys ready to
And you
push him
can see
over?
Giovanni in the corner already has his hand over his mouth. Like he knows what's coming and he's so excited. So he's like, it's coming.
Ready? Michael, are you ready to help? 1, 2, 3. Push! Oh! Oh, you guys knocked him all over. Should we?
Alrighty. So this had, yeah, go out, please. So all of a sudden my kids were asking, they were signing again to do it again. They were choosing what they wanted. You can see they were so excited. There's one that I do that I found that's a really simple one. It's just this boat. And here's my oar. And it's not huge. And we just sing, row, row, row. Oh, oh no. My boat crashed into something. I wonder what we crashed into. And I think I have the pocket in the wrong spot because I didn't actually do this one with them yesterday. But then I reach into, let's see, oh, here's a pocket in the ocean. I reach into the ocean and I pull it out. And I mean, sometimes I have ocean animals. Sometimes I'll have, right? I think we all have these. This one's just from the letter L bucket because we were learning letter L. Oh, it's a lion. Lion starts with oh, we should keep it because it starts with oh. And I mean, my kids, I mean, they crack up laughing with this activity and they'll row their boat and they'll bump their boat and they're just so excited with it. So I created this handout and it just shows you basically the basics. You need to get your green screen. The plus of using felt, let me turn mine off again so you can see it. The plus of using felt is everything sticks to it. I can stick other felt to it. If you use the butcher paper, the tablecloth, they're great, but things don't stick to them as well. So you can't take things on and off. Oops, I can't get it out of my pocket quite as easily. This way I can just use Velcro and I can place it wherever I want. Some other fun tools to have. I got a paint stick from, well, I did a local store, but like Home Depot or whatever, and I just covered it with the green screen material. And now, when I drive the car, you guys can see the stick right now, but when I drive it, they cannot see it, and they just think this one is so cool because that car can drive all by itself. And if you have kids that are really smart and see your hands, oh, I can't show you this with the green screen on. There we go. I did buy some gloves from Amazon that are green screen so that my entire arm disappears. And then I didn't know that you could do just the PowerPoint by itself. And my computer wouldn't let me save my PowerPoints as a JPEG, like each individual JPEG. So you can go here to smallpdf.com. And you can choose right here and it will convert any PDF you have into a JPEG. Now, if you're doing the free version, you only get to do 2 a day. So you kind of have to plan it out. If you pay for it, you can do as many as you want and your file size can be as huge as you want. But if you're doing the free one, you get 2 a day and they have to be 25 mgs or smaller. I've had no problem with it if you plan in advance. So honestly, I can't say it's like worth the purchase. And then, like they said, loading onto Zoom, you just click the plus here and it will add it. Moving through screens, you choose the first one you want and you use your arrow key. So if I push the arrow forward, you can see down here how it moves forward, but all the kids see are the bubbles coming. And then later on, so my kids adore this one. We use a little bubble wand and we blow. Ready? Blow. And then when we're done, we go back and ready, say pop, 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 pop. And some of my kids, again, they don't say a lot, but they will say bubble. They will say blah for blocks. And they will say pop. And I've gotten them to sign again. And like, I'm so excited. Their parents are so excited. It's the most language we've gotten out of them in quite a while. The other thing I added on here was extra material for hide and seek. So, oh wait, to show you, I've got to turn this off. So here's the extra material, and it's just one that I had cut other pieces out of. But I don't know. We'll go with this one. So we've got the cauldron bubbling, right? And then, oh no, I'm falling in. Help! Help! And you can completely disappear, which I actually saw one person who bet their students that she could disappear. And this was for a kindergarten class, so a little bit older than our kids. But it was for a kindergarten class. And she was like, I can disappear. I can go invisible. And I'm like, no, you can't. And she pretended to sprinkle some special invisibility dust on her and was like, oh, I feel it working. It's working. Oh, I told you I could go invisible. And of course, her kids adored it. It just brings in that other. And she was like, don't worry, I'm only like this for the next 5 minutes. And she literally taught her class for 5 minutes behind that screen. But they were so impressed their teacher could go invisible. Let's see, what else was I gonna say? I added resources, and some of them are the exact same ones that I think we're all using. The green screen speech therapy on Facebook group is amazing. PlaySpark toys, you can order the kit for free. I mean, not for free, but you can order it and have like the pockets. You get some of the stick. Oh, you see, you can't see my sticks because my green screen's on. All you can see is the floating Velcro. You get the sticks. And I think you get like a container to put it in, but it does take like almost a month to get your materials. So this is just felt that I got from Joann's, 50% off coupon. Things were great. Hobby Lobby, right? You can get it cheap. One thing to notice about materials is, can you see how big this is? Like this is almost a whole sheet of paper. But when I put it on my screen, and I put it behind me, it kind of shrinks and it ends up fitting and it doesn't look quite as huge. So when you're making your own and stuff, you do want to take into account how big it is. I have, let me show you another one I just, oh, that's the wrong folder. I just made it, where did I put it? Here we go. I just use these folders. They're manila folders, and I taped the sides to make pockets because I was trying to, use what I had. And that's where I put my materials by the theme. So one of the activities that I did had these animals that were really small. Like when I printed it out, the panda bear was probably only about 1/4 of the size of this one. And then when you put him on your screen, he almost disappeared because you can see this one gets super small when you put them behind you. And it's really, I am not very tall, so my arms are not that long. And you can see I'm pretty close to it. There's probably only about 3 feet between my table and my screen. And that's how small they get when you put them behind you. So when you're thinking about pieces, you definitely want to look into size. The bigger, the better. The other tip I found that was really helpful, well, if I can find one that has it, Farm Animals does, is printing when you're in PowerPoint, put a lime green background on them because it will also disappear. And then you don't have to worry about cutting in between, like around the udders and having that white edge. And I mean, you can see if I get the wrong angle, there is going to be a problem. The other piece to keep in mind, and I have not found a solution for this one yet, is sometimes even dark greens will disappear. So I have colored this hamburger multiple times with multiple different markers, and it still disappears. So my hamburger has no lettuce, so I don't use it until I can figure out how to get that. I printed it with a really dark green, but it didn't work. When I colored my apple stem, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's the exact same marker I colored the hamburger with, and it never works. So go figure, but all greens can disappear. When you're reading books, if you're using a green screen background, like this is usually my general background, when you're reading books, you have to be careful because if there's green in the picture, it can disappear. So you do have to kind of plan out your activity, and do I use green screen? Or do I turn it off and teach this way and have not a cool background or something behind me? Because with it on, oh man, that's gone. And unfortunately, a lot of pre-K materials come in that lime green color. I had never noticed before how many things came in lime green. I've got these magnetic for like building words, right? Lime green. So if I turn it off, you can see it. It's a bright color, it's a pretty color, maybe that's why they use it, but it means I now can't use it with my green screen activities. So just something else to keep in mind when you're looking at materials that you want to use, or if you're creating food, might want to check it before you print and see if your lettuce is going to disappear, because I mean, my kids don't notice, but a lot of kids are going to be like, why do you have nothing in the middle of your hamburger? That could be a problem. So, alrighty, that was really quick and fast. And like I said, I changed it a little bit to fill in some of the questions that had been asked. Are there any questions that I've missed?
So one question on here that somebody asked, how long does it take you to make your props?
Honestly, I haven't made any of mine. I have gotten them from other people. Oh, and I was going to show, if you go into the, this is the Facebook group. You just go to, I can't remember if it's files or media. There you go, both of them. And that's where they all are. Really, I'm one of those teachers that believes in not reinventing the wheel. So I have almost nothing that I've created myself. I've adapted them. I've increased them or decreased them or changed it, but I haven't drawn my own. So, I mean, the time to print this out, and then I'm not using a laminator. I just used contact paper, so I didn't have to go into school. That's where I glued a felt piece so that it will stick. It doesn't take long, maybe a half hour total to get them all printed, cut, and contact papered. So.
Awesome. And how do you feel the video quality is? I think either because we have a lot of participants on right now, or when we're also seeing the settings, it sometimes looks a little choppy. Does it look as choppy when you're doing it live with your kiddos?
It doesn't. And here's the key. And where I am right now is not a good example. See how I have this natural light on this window here? And I have it covered, but there's still a lot of light. The key to having really good green screen is reduce your natural light and put lots of artificial light. And here at home, I can't do that as well. And so it does, you can see the edges a little bit more. It can be a little bit more choppy, but the less natural light and the more artificial light, like putting a light directly in front of you, the crisper and cleaner it looks.
Great. And it's helpful to know that you can use different shades of green. I know that's not helpful with your hamburger, but if you're trying to make and cover the stick like you were doing, if it's a little bit, the shade is off from your background, I think that is helpful for some people to know that it doesn't have to be
dark enough. Yeah, if it's dark enough, it'll show. But if it's close enough and the computer picks it up with the same one, you're gone.
There's been a lot of questions. Yes, we will have the recording of this out to everyone, and it'll be available to you and anyone else that needs to watch it.
And then I did forget to add my email address to the handout. So while the next person's presenting, I will drop it in the chat. And you are more than welcome to contact me. I'm self-learned like all the others. We pretty much all learned from the same videos. So.
Great, thank you. And I was trying to drop your handout into the chat, and for some reason it's not letting me. So I'll make sure it gets out to everybody via email.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, great. Up next, we have Bernie, and Bernie is joining us from Las Lunas Public Schools as well, and he is a New Mexico pre-K teacher. So Bernie, you should have co-host abilities now and be able to share.
So hello everybody and welcome. I am super nervous, so I apologize if I sound silly or ridiculous, but I'm just gonna share a couple things on how you can use either PowerPoint or Keynote, depending on if you have a Mac or a PC, to help kind of do a lot of the whole group instruction. It's good for literacy, good for math. You can do a lot of different things with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna start with PowerPoint. I'm not as because I oh, can you guys see? I froze. You guys see my screen?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, sorry.
That's fine.
All right, so I'm gonna start off with calendar. We're gonna make a simple calendar. So you can see I've already started to make this calendar, and it's kind of easy to do. And I'll show you kind of like what I've done with this. So once you have this calendar, I can kind of drop or have numbers appear as they go, so we can count as we go along. You can still get your calendar in and you don't have to use something in the background, because I was losing a lot of my kids when I was trying to like do something in the back. And this way, everything's moving, it's animated, they see the number, and then they can follow along. So it's kind of easy to do, and you can do a lot of stuff with PowerPoint or Keynote. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna do a table, and then just make sure it's big enough for your, what am I doing? 7 by, just make sure it's big enough for your calendar. That's not gonna be big enough. And the nice thing is once you have this part open or done, all you have to do is add text here to do your days of the week. And then you would just add some shapes in to do your days. And so I'm just gonna add a shape here. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to work too hard, because both of these programs will kind of do the work for you. So if I put 1 here, and you can change the text, you can change the size. It's gonna be about this big right now. You can make it bigger if you need to be bigger. But I'm gonna go over to animations, and I'm gonna add a different kind of animation. So you can do a spin, shrink. I kind of like ones that just come in or appear. So like that one. You can do a dissolve in. But the nice thing is once I choose an animation, I'm gonna actually just copy it and paste it. And now both of these are animated, and you can see this one's 1 and this one will animate as 2. And all I have to do is change the number. Again, you would just copy it, paste it. Now we've got 3. And so you don't have to spend a lot of time doing like the same animation, click, 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 click. If you use that copy paste, you can make a whole calendar within a few minutes actually. And then another thing you can do using the same kind of, I guess, techniques is, so one thing we do is we look at the number 4. So I'll have it kind of come in, and I'll tell them point to the number 4. So I kind of like it to spin or something. So point to the number 4. After they point, they can, I'll make the 4 animated. And then we can say, okay, we're gonna count to 4. And so I already had pictures in here. So now all I have to do is animate the pictures. And we could do it the same method as we just did for the calendar, where I do transitions, and then, not transitions, sorry, animations. And then we can have it appear if we wanted to have it appear, fill in, line color, whatever you want to do. I like spin, let's do spin. So copy that, paste it, copy that, paste it, copy that, paste it. So now when the kids are seeing my screen, I can say, okay, guys, point to the number 4. And then I can animate the number 4. All right, let's count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I also like to do another animation after, just to reinforce, all right, point to that number 4 again. And again, these are kind of easy to do, just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And you have a whole representation of like the number 4 and different things. I also will add the word 4 in there too. And just so I can reinforce the different letters or difference between letters and numbers. Okay, another cool thing I do morning message this way also. Same thing again, I use, for this one, I used a different text box for each word. And the reason behind that is I can say, good morning, class. And for this one too, I usually do a double animation. So then we'll read it again, good morning, class. But I didn't do it for this one. Today is wacky. And then we didn't finish that one, but Wacky Wednesday. And this is another cool thing too, because you can always add a picture of whatever kind of day it is, Taco Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, Fish Friday. I kind of like to do alliterations for a little while just to kind of have fun with it. But it's cool because they can kind of guess what kind of day it's going to be. It's going to be Wacky Wednesday. And they're also getting that reinforcement of the letters. And then they have the support from the pictures as well. So I'm going to go over to Keynote and show you a couple other things. And both things will kind of translate the same way. It's just a matter of whichever program you can use and which one you're more comfortable with. So here's like an example of, this is kind of like my whole thing that I do. Good morning, class. So yesterday it was Toy Tuesday. And then for my question of the day, I don't usually animate the whole thing, but this is a good, I'll read it and I'll highlight each word. And it's a good conversation starter. So they already saw the support of the toys. They already saw it was Toy Tuesday. And then that gave them an opportunity to think about what their favorite toy is and why is it your favorite toy. So it's just another way to spark some conversation. Calendar. All right. So these are the kind of the animations that I was telling you about from before. I'm a little better with Keynote. As you can tell, it looks a little nicer. But again, you'll just point to the number 6, it bounce, point to the word 6, it flashes. We're going to count to 6, and then those will animate as they go too. All right, a couple more things with these. And so I also use it for sorting. They can't sort the things, but they can at least tell me, which, I mean, I would like them to actually move around and be able to sort things. And you could upload this document to wherever, whatever you're using, a PowerPoint or a Keynote, and then they can manipulate it at home on their own. But another good reason for doing it together is they can't just point because I can't see what they're doing. So a lot of the cues that I'm looking for, okay, well, what color is it? Where is it? And so they have to use a lot of language to kind of support sorting. And all I did was honestly just got different pictures, and then I just copy paste, and you can adjust the sizes. So you can have small hearts, large hearts, you can have red ones, the whole lot. All right, a couple more things, and then I will stop talking so much. So another thing I use it to do is to collect data. One of our controversial questions of yesterday, do you like pizza with pineapple? And the cool thing is, like, we can move it and then I can zoom in and say, okay, how many said no? And how many said yes? And we can kind of, or how many said not sure, they might've not had it. But it's just another way to represent data. We're interacting with words, we're counting. It's just kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, last one. Another thing we've been doing too is patterns. And all I did, again, copy, paste. I have a whole lot of squares here, here, and here. And we just make a pattern. And then we can kind of predict what would be next. And I'll say, okay, we have green, blue, blue, green. What's going to come next? And then we can talk about that too. And then I've got shapes in there. We talk about different shapes. So, I mean, there's a lot you can do, and it's a lot you can make it kind of fun, just the way you animate things and set things up. So I talked a lot. I talked fast. I'm sorry. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for putting it into presentation mode. I think that helped somebody to see what it was going to look like. And so
there is one question. So when I'm moving objects, I do not put it in presentation mode, but you can zoom in so that you can have a little bit bigger picture of what the kids are actually seeing. So I don't know if you saw when I zoomed in on the data that we took so they can count. And it's kind of cool because you can see them counting, and you can see them when they're pointing. Like when you say point to the number 4, you can see them pointing at the screen so they know that they got it right. So that's kind of cool.
Awesome. And I would think that once that calendar, once you've done it once, recreating it for months after probably goes a lot faster.
Yeah, and it's so all I had to do for this month is I just had to move the dates to where they align with, and you can change the color really easy too. You just have to select all those little squares and then do it a different color, and then you can just change it for your theme. And then you can also add a background, so you can have, you know, something for fall, you can have something for winter, for different months. So it's kind of nice. You can do a lot of stuff without having to like go back here and try to do like two things at once. You're all in.
Bernie, do you develop your entire lesson for your Zoom on the PowerPoint?
I do a big portion of it, yes.
Great. And that's awesome because that's a tool that everybody has, either PowerPoint or Keynote, that should be on your computer. So that's great that lots of people are saying they're loving your ideas.
Well, thank you guys.
A question just came. How do you organize all of this to the essential indicators? Do you have a way that you've done that?
I do not have a way to do that, but I think a lot of the stuff I've just built as I've gone along. So like, okay, I've done this in class. How do I make that and put it into, let's say, PowerPoint or Keynote? So I know we did like patterns was one that we just did recently. I was like, oh, we haven't done any patterns. So how am I going to put that and translate it into Keynote? So I don't know.
It's all new right now. We're still figuring all that out. Do you know if you can make slides interactive in Google Slides?
I have not played with Google Slides, so I'm sorry, but I don't know. I imagine if it's similar, then you probably could do the same things.
Awesome.
Can I answer that question? I use Google Slides more than PowerPoint, and you can. It's just PowerPoint has more animations than Google Slides, and some of them are a little better in PowerPoint, but you can still do it.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Bernie. And we have one more presenter joining us today. I'm trying to do our Hollywood squares. Let's see. Our next presenter is Heidi. Heidi's joining us from Las Cruces Public Schools, and she is a speech language pathologist. And Heidi, are you under another name that I might not?
It should be under Heidi Chambers.
Oh, there you are. You bumped up to the top as I was scrolling down.
Oh, okay.
Because you went off, you turned your video on. There you are.
Yes, I did.
Great. So you are a co-host now and you can share.
Okay, thank you. A lot of information has been covered, so I hope you can take away something from my presentation. And just keep in mind that I see a lot of kids in smaller groups. And so some of it may apply where you can use it in a whole group. And some of it is in a whole group. When I see my kids, I see them sometimes one-on-one, and sometimes I see them in smaller groups. So the first one I have is a video for you to watch that just quickly shows you how to use the green screen in a little bit of a different format if you haven't seen a hidden green screen. So I'll play that one for you. I found it kind of helpful. So what you do is you go to your video camera on Zoom, go to choose virtual background. You click on the addition sign. And when you click on that, you just add an image, or you can add a video. And then just whatever you have in your pictures, you can download anything from the internet or whatever you've uploaded to your pictures, and you add it there. So I've added a few pictures. So once you add it, you click on I have a green screen and mirror my video, and then you'll have a rectangle that shows up here. So once you click on the picture you want, then click on this rectangle, and then you'll see you have this new symbol up here. And all you need is a green piece of paper. This is just cardstock, but you can use construction paper. Just click on it, and it will show what you have. And so then from there on, your video is a little bit sparkly, but what it does is it shows whatever you have on. So you could use vocabulary or just whatever you have in your class, spelling patterns, whatever you might want to show. And so that's one way that I've engaged the kids. They really seem to like, well, what is in the background, for a lot of describing and what you might be talking about for the day, or what action words you might be doing. And sometimes, and you can do anything. And that's what I like about that, because I just cut and paste from the internet. So I haven't bought anything. And then I really like to make things as personable as I can. So you could take pictures of the kids and then cut and paste them in your Word document and then put those up there, and they really enjoy seeing themselves and things that are personal to them. And so that is one idea. And then, let's see. Okay, let me share this one with you. This is a roulette wheel, and I don't know, it's from Language Stuff is what it's called, and I don't know how to create one, but I'm sure you could create one. This one, you do have to download it from the internet, but it is nice because it allows you to spin it, and so it's interactive and has motions and things that you can act out, so that's also an entertaining one. But I'm not sure how you make that one. But there's another one. So let me see. Let me share this one with you. So that's just one to download that you could use. This one is just a PowerPoint. So this is for my older kids, obviously, but you can pick any PowerPoint you want. And then when you look at a PowerPoint and you go to present and you're clicking through the slides, let me see if it lets me. So you know how you just click through the slides. So to change it up for my younger kids, this is what I do for them. So what you do is you go to Slideshow on your toolbar. And click on Setup Slideshow. And click on Loop Continuously until Escape. And click OK. Then go to Transitions. And go over here and click on your first slide or whatever slide that you want. I'm going to use the whole thing. And on the HP, you can just push Shift S to highlight them all, because I selected them all. And then go to duration, and I set mine for 0.20 and click all. Uncheck on mouse and click on after. And then when you present, it goes really fast, and you can ask them to tell you to stop, and then you click again and they're like stop, and you can go stop, and they seem to really like that, especially my younger ones. They're like stop. And so that's one thing you can do with your PowerPoint. Okay, let's see what I have next. Okay. And I don't know how familiar you are with, it's a voice activated app, and I use this one a lot at school when we were in school. This one is called Bouncy Balls. I don't know how many of you have used these, but it's a really nice one. Let me do this one. So it's like a class management for volume control, but it really helps the kids get engaged because it's very visual and everything's moving on here, but especially for the kids who speak at a low volume, or for my DD pre-kids who aren't speaking at all, they really like this one. And what you do on this one is you have different options here. So here's the sensitivity, and you turn your microphone on, and then it goes with my voice. So the louder I am, the lower the bubbles are going. And then you have these different
You have emojis, and you can put how many you want on the screen, how few you want, how sensitive you want it to be. And so the louder they are, the more the balls bounce, or the more the eyeballs bounce. And so to get them to make noise, even if they're not saying words yet, just, you know, making sounds, just getting them involved in that. So this is one that I really use a lot, especially on the smartboard. It's good, but it still works well on the computer. Oh, here. Let's do this one. Another one is I've downloaded a lot of desktop apps. And for a Mac, I'm not sure how you guys do it. I'm only an HP user, but I do have a lot of those, and a lot of them kids like are this cursor one. And so the kids will often ask me to pick a cursor, and I'll let them pick a cursor before whatever we might be working on, and they can choose one, and there are just so many. And the kids really like these, and it just, all it does is it changes your cursor to whatever you click on. And so that is really helpful, and that's something that engages them as well, because they can manipulate it on the screen. I do a lot of animation on the screen, and then they're able to manipulate my screen. And so there's a lot of engagement that way, especially with boom cards. Another one is the wheel of names. Oh no. Not sure if I have to stop sharing or not. Can you see the wheel of names? Yeah, okay. So on this one, it's just the wheel of names.com, and you can add anything you want, and it asks you to join as soon as you make one. And so I have several here. And I have kids' pictures in there because you can add anything you want. But for example, here's one. This is a story. And you can type in whatever you want over here. So let me just make one, and I'll show you real quick. I don't know if you're familiar with these or not. Let me just start over. Okay, well, here's a new one. So you can add in whatever you want. You could add in names, you can add in pictures. So just say, if you're talking about cars or colors, maybe you could do colors, or even letters. Say you're not really working on articulation like I would be, but you could be working on letters. So you can add as many as you want. And then here it goes to customize. And on customize, this tells you how long the wheel is going to spin. So usually I do it pretty short. Here, oh, hang on just a second. On this one, you can pick whatever sounds you want. So you can have all kinds of music playing. There's like Halloween music on there. After the spin, you can pick if you want confetti, or you can have whatever you want. There are different choices. You can pick your colors, whatever colors you want. And here you can add an image. And so you can have no image, or you can have a custom one where you go to your pictures and add an image. So I'll often put a picture of my student in there. You can go to the gallery and pick something in the gallery, and then you pick the size. So it has it in there, and then you just spin it. So you can put like all your kids' names on there, and like just like you would have in the classroom, like choose the leader of the day or whatever it is, you could just put that on there, and that's often how I start. So that's also a good one. Let's see, another one. I use a lot of Google Slides. Almost all of my lesson plans are put on Google Slides. So I just add videos, because I will use like a lot of brain breaks during, so that they have a break, so that they're still staying engaged. So are you able to see my frog right here on my video? So when your videos are attached, you can just go here and you can click on them. I don't know if you know how to download them, so I can show you how to do that too. So these just play, and they're brain breaks, but they're still engaged in learning. And on this one, they just guess the animal name before they go. So they're like drawing it, and then they tell me what they think it's going to be. And so we'll often do those. And so there's a lot of guessing games. If you look at guessing games for songs, there are a lot of those that play. And if you go to, I'll show you how to add one super fast, just in case you don't know. Oops. Okay.
But Grammarly
So
can
as soon as you
help.
find some songs
This
that you want
sentence
to
is
add,
grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to read. It undermines the writer's message, and the word choice is bland. Grammarly's cutting edge.
Okay. So as soon as you find one that you want to add, you just cut and paste the link. Just turn that on. So you cut and paste the link, and then you have to go back to your PowerPoint. Let me just get a new slide. Okay. So insert it, go under video. And then paste your link. And then select it. And when it posts, you can go down here and you can start it, like if you don't want the first 10 seconds of it, or if you want it to end early, you can adjust the time, and then it will start playing at the 10-second interval. So that's how you post those. Another one is I use a lot of Giphies, and I don't ever look them up while the students are on there because I notice there are a lot of like inappropriate things on there. However, Giphies are really fun to use too because they're so animated for the kids. So can you see the Giphy link? So as soon as it comes up, if I was going to put anything, you have to kind of be careful what you put in. Let's see, it comes up for letter A. So as soon as you find one that you like, all you do is copy the link. You can also click on it and then copy the link here. The other way is a little faster, but you can do it that way, and then copy this link. And then you can go back, and what you do here, did it take you back to my PowerPoint? It did. Okay, so go to Insert and go to Image and go to URL. And if you post it there, then it will insert your image there. So that works like that. And I do have, like I said, I have a lot of Giphies. So I will show you, like here's one that I have cut and pasted. So we'll talk about dancing and throwing and sleeping and running and waving and eating. And So even when it was just the apple week, I think I had cutting and licking and biting and peeling. So all those are used, which are fun to use. So there are those. I did my cursors. I use a lot of boom cards. I'm sure a lot of people have been using boom cards. And if you cut and paste the link, just like I've been doing for the other ones, you can go right to the boom card. And I use a lot of boom cards. I have like 40 pages, and I did contact boom cards to see if they could adjust their program a little bit to find their material easier, because when you have a lot of boom cards, it's difficult to find them. You can only put them in your own folders, but they don't have subfolders. So it's kind of hard to find that information when you're looking for it. I will show you. Let me make sure that you can see this, just in case.
And Heidi, you're in Google Slides right now, right?
I'm in Google Slides, yes. And so this is my boom card count. And so let me go here. Usually I should go right to my store. Again, just a second. Oh, that is so weird. Hang on just one second. Why is it not letting me log in? Oh no. Okay. So here is my studio. And so I have a few things. Are you able to see my decks of boom cards? Okay. So I just wanted to show you that if you use boom cards, they're super easy to use, but you can make your own. And I just have the very minimum. I think it's $25 a year. But what I have on here, for example, I'll show you a couple that I did. Let me let it load. Maybe it's just slow. Okay, and so I let the student pick how they feel that day, and they can click on it. And of course, I share my screen and I let them take over my screen. And then for this one, he can tell me how old he is, so he clicks on how old he is. And then he drags down the candles to show me how old he is. This student is nonverbal. And so then I have a picture of his dad, and I'll add more pictures as we go, and so that he can point to and tell me who his family members are. So then we have his mom and his brother. And then this one, I took a picture of the student, and then he's learning body parts, and he did super well with this almost right away because it's himself. And so he's able to drag over the parts of his body to complete his picture. And then I did that for all of his facial features. And then this one, he's able to move over his letters to match up his name. And then he really enjoys this book. And you can just slide in any videos so we can watch the video. And then I just cut and pasted right from the book and put it in here so we can talk about, oh, who is the bunny talking to? And then he can click on whichever one it is. And then we go through the story there, something that he likes to read that is super personal to him. So that is that. And then for A to Z reading, I just use a lot of the annotation on Zoom that lets the kids mark in the book and point and draw. they're able to do all of that on the annotation. And then I also have, this is my Canvas page. And so I'll show you this real quick. Okay, so on this one, okay, so mine works where the kids can click on articulation or whatever it might be, and then I have a bunch of videos. And then these are all, of course, linked just like Google Slides are, because it's a Google slide. And the same for language. And I have like a lot of videos and things for the kids to do on here and different ideas. These are all that the parent can go to, and there are the live webcams, so they can see the different animals and things like that. And then fluency for the kids who have articulation and fluency. This one is mostly for parents or for the older kids. And then for AAC, I have some things. I had put on a Toolbox Tuesday at my school for a couple days. And so just some things that I showed some parents and some teachers that they might want to try. So this one is just a first then chart, and it's actually using the item, and that's what I like, because some kids need to really see the item and not just a picture of the item. They might need to bump it back a little bit, so I put the item right on there. And then just your standard one. I like this one too. It's just a homemade one, but I like that it's on a cookie sheet, because you can use it in the car. And I mean, you communicate so many places, and then the pieces aren't falling all over the place. So that's a good one. This is just a regular token board and an abacus and some shadow matching, feelings. This is more for the parent to show them different activities that they can do for communication boards as they're reading a book, and things that they could print out and use. And then I just take a cup and I draw a door on it. And I did send home from my walk-in students different activities so that we could work together, so that they had some manipulative, so they could take the cup and then they could put the little bear, you know, on top and under and beside and next to and all those prepositional words. This is an activity for home with just shaving cream, but in my home learning kit that I sent home, I did fill plastic bags with a little bit of hair gel so they could draw the shapes and the letters and things like that, just like you would do at school. And then shape matching activities. And then there's that same one from before. And then this is more for parents to help them complete activities at home. I have placemats that I set home so that they can learn to set the table, as well as learn their shapes and their colors. And then this is just a sorting activity, really just providing parents with a lot of ideas to do at home, supporting the learning. And then this is something that I would have in my classroom, but it's a contact paper, and you just put it on in reverse and tape it on your wall, and then you can have all kinds of activities with this. And I've had a lot of parents do that, and that's been really helpful as well. And then just scavenger hunt. Well,
great. Well, we are in our last 2 minutes, so I just wanted to make a quick announcement that if anybody does not have your full name as your name on the Zoom, please make sure you put your name in the chat and where you're, what district you're from, so that I can use that for attendance. And I saw a question about how do you allow somebody to control your screen. I'm assuming, Heidi, you're using Zoom.
Right. I don't know how to use Google Meets. I only know how to use Zoom. It's pretty friendly.
Yeah. So if you're sharing your screen in Zoom, Up the top, you should have a little icon that says remote control, and you can give control to the student and they are able to manipulate your screen. I would guess you would probably need a parent there, especially for our young ones, to help them get used to that at first.
Right.
But it can be a neat way to have that interaction.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you again so much to our panelists. So much great feedback in the chat about all the great ideas that people have taken from this. I really appreciate everybody and all the time they were able to put in. Again, we will be posting the link for this webinar. I am going to put up a quick poll just for us to have some information about who was here. You will also be getting an evaluation, but also to see what future topics you might like to see for webinars as well. So I'm going to launch that now. And if for some reason you might not have registered and attended, please make sure you reach out to Holly Meyer. I'll put her email in the chat to make sure you can get registered so that you get credit for being here. And if I will also put my email in the chat as well. If you don't receive the evaluation and you attended, it could have been something with the names on the attendance or something, but feel free to reach out to me if in a few days you have not received your, oh, thanks, Shelley. And I'll put mine in right now. If you have not received it in a few days, feel free to reach out. Well, thank you all again. This will conclude our webinar, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and your week.